All right, I am making some lasagna today. It's not going to be my typical lasagna because I was supposed to have had a friend over this weekend and they have some stomach sensitivities. And so I couldn't make lasagna that has garlic and or onions in it. And so I was going to make my own sauce, but then the friend didn't wind up coming over. And so now I'm going to make lasagna and I'm going to kind of make my own sauce and kind of use the sauce that I have left over in my fridge. And we're going to see what happens there. I'm going to treat this as either part 3 or 4 of my whole Walgreens adventure because I went to Walgreens twice, actually. I went there once to try and get the picture stuff figured out, and then they were broken down, and so I had to go to a different Walgreens, and they were unable to help me. And now I don't feel confident in their ability to give me what I want. And so instead of trying Walgreens again, I will probably try some sort of internet place where I can print out the pictures through the internet. The internet is a wonderful thing. I wish, although having a, oops, I turned on the wrong burner. Having my own canvas printing might be mostly unreasonable. Having my own like normal print shop is less unreasonable. But like the more I get into photography, the more I want to do these sorts of things. I looked up how to what's the word? How to develop my own pictures. My parents have an old Canon from the 80s that still uses film, and I am very tempted to try and take pictures with that and develop my own pictures and see what that does and see what that looks like. And so, yeah, like I said, the really exciting part is diving into it and learning more about it and trying to make that a thing that I do. And so we'll see what happens. For now, I will just stick with whomever I can find on the computer that can help me with that. But I probably will not be concluding my Walgreens adventure with another trip to Walgreens. That is for sure. I think 3 trips in 1 weekend's enough. But it's kind of interesting. Of course, this whole lasagna thing, it's not exactly last minute. I knew I was going to make lasagna. It's just I didn't have all the things that I normally have to make lasagna with. So it's going to be a bit of an experimental lasagna. I put salt and pepper in the meat. That's almost all I ever do with my ground beef. But obviously, it depends on what I'm making. Like, if I'm making ground beef for tacos, I'll season it more than if I were making it for lasagna or something. The spaghetti sauce that I normally do with lasagna would carry most of the burden of seasoning this meat here. So I'm not too focused on that, not as much as I'm focused on just trying to make some good lasagna at this point. I will spend some time on my phone trying to get some good clips for the Instagram. As I've said before, the food videos tend to do really well on Instagram, so I try to get some good phone footage for those. I can do portrait recording on my camera, but I tend to feel like it doesn't translate as well on the phone as a video that I just took on my phone. and I'm still constantly learning things about the whole video making process. I followed somebody's guide on the settings that I should use, but then when I was looking at the settings on my actual video, I was realizing that the resolution and the other kind of settings and stuff that I was setting on my video were less than what I was trying to publish them out to be. And so I don't know what effect that has on my video quality, if it has any effect at all, but it most certainly feels strange to be, for example, publishing a 4K video if the video was only shot in 1080p. And so, like I said, I don't know what kind of effects that might have, but it just feels like the right thing to do to publish it under the proper dimensions. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try and overjump that, which has helped me some in my turnaround time when considering how long it takes me to pump out a video. This weekend has been extremely productive. I got a lot of things done that I said or wanted to get done, and so that feels pretty good. Like I said, I was supposed to have a friend over on Saturday, and I was low-key dreading excuse me, I was low-key dreading the lack of productivity that I was going to have this weekend, and instead I turned it around and turned it into one of the most productive weekends that I've had in a long time. And so now I just have to hope that all that productivity turns into something. I have somebody that I'm contacting to have a billboard advertisement made up for me, and I'm thinking about, she obviously is, she represents several billboards, and I'm going to start with this small billboard right outside of town where I live, and then I might just expand the advertisement to different billboards that she represents, because I mean, exposure is exposure is exposure is exposure, is it not? And so we'll see what happens, but really trying to get myself out there and trying to plan something and do something impactful with my work this year. I was looking up tips and tricks for marketing your book and stuff, and a lot of people were talking about the benefits of having a social media presence, which I do not deny that at all. I also don't have much of a social media presence right now. That's why I'm doing all these recordings and trying to really get myself out there. That's another thing, is I recorded like 4 videos this weekend alone. The last part of the Walgreens series proper was me essentially going on their website and trying to figure out how I was going to make this photo work that I made. And now that I am, now that I've decided against doing that, I may or may not make that part of the video series or not, because it wouldn't be very entertaining. I was totally not focused on the fact that I was talking to you guys. I was more focused on the fact that I was trying to get this camera thing figured out. And so it was pretty quiet, and I was just in my car on my phone doing stuff. And so didn't really get anywhere there. And so we'll see. Oops, just spilt some grease. But we will see what I decide to do with that. And that's why when I was talking earlier, I was like, well, the Walgreens series is either going to wind up being a 3 or 4 part series, because it's definitely going to be 2 parts. I did the video of me driving up there for the first time, the video of me driving to the second location, and then the video of me being disappointed after having reached the second location. and then this video here, which happens after it's all said and done. And so the if factor is that kind of that third part video of me just trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing in my car. And so, I don't know, hopefully I can figure it out, hopefully it works. I am really knocking out the content, and maybe finally for once starting to catch up with myself, which really is not a good sign. I have made it, I think, all the way up to March 15th now in my pre-uploads, and if I catch up to myself, I reckon I probably have 10 more videos or so. And so then if I catch up to myself, then it's, well, I mean, I guess I'm doing fine. I'm over a month ahead of myself, and I don't foresee myself not recording during the week anytime soon. Like, it happens from time to time. I forget to charge my camera. I forget to empty out my SD card or whatever. But like weekends like this weekend where I recorded 4 videos in one weekend alone are also incredibly helpful and incredibly impactful, because like that's half of what I would record during the week. During the week, I at least record 10 videos. And if I record 4 videos over the weekend, then one more would put me at half. But I'm going to call it half because I count closeness in this adventure game that I am playing. And so I'm going to go get my phone camera again and film myself messing around with this ground beef. It is tough to do because I need to do it one-handed, and it makes the meat, or the pan I should say, just kind of go all over the place and do its own thing. And so 8 seconds is my magic amount of time. So I'll film it for 8 seconds of me messing around with it, 8 seconds of it just kind of sizzling, and then I'll turn it off. And we're getting close to the beef being done. I remember the last time I made a lasagna. I make these quite a bit now, actually. But the last time I made a lasagna, I added up the cost that it took for me to actually make it. So I basically took the cost of the ingredients and didn't factor in my time at all. And I was able to get like, I think 12 good-sized slices out of the lasagna. And I divided the cost of the ingredients by 12, and it came out to be $3.50 per slice. And as I've said before, I'm pretty confident in the kitchen, and I feel like I make a pretty good lasagna. And so like even if I was just breaking even, $3.50 is nothing for a decent slice of lasagna. And so then I got to thinking, I was like, well, if I did 100% markup, and I was charging $7 for a slice of lasagna, that's still nothing. And so it got me thinking, and I do a lot of thinking about entrepreneurial things and things of that nature quite a bit, actually. But it got me thinking, and I was like, you know, I could open up a cafe and make it to where I don't really have a menu. It's just like, this week is lasagna week. I have a big old pan of lasagna, $10 a slice, and that's still an incredible deal for good lasagna. But I probably will never commit to that because, I don't know though, doing my own business has been more enticing these last couple days, not days, months maybe. And it's just a matter of figuring out what my business is going to be. And there's a lot of places here in town that are for rent. If they were for sale, I would buy them and do something with them. But I'm not going to rent out a place because that's just another payment that you have to worry about making. And my goal would be to be at as few payments as humanly possible. And so if I could get one of those places, if I could just buy one of those storefronts, and then I don't know what I would do with them. I feel like I've had a lot of good ideas, and maybe I combine them all into something, but like, as you guys witnessed when I made the eggnog, I had the eggnog cafe idea. As you all witnessed, just now I was talking about a cafe where I pretty much determined what was on the menu the day before, and then we all just kind of, you order what you want based upon that. There's also the idea that I would do like some sort of entertainment place, and I feel like all these ideas are solid ideas. I just got to figure out, I got flour all over my good sweatshirt. I just got to figure out which one is the one that I am going to commit to. If I commit to one at all, running my own business is a tall order, and I would more than likely be looking at doing this without quitting my job. So that turns out to be a pretty gnarly overhaul to try and manage to, almost knocked down this pan, to try and run my own business without quitting my job. Trying to find a good spot for this to sit. I think if I zoomed it out just a hair, it would be fine. All right, got the new cam set up. The old cam is still staring at that over there. I'm gonna let the beef and grease and yuckiness dry a little bit before I drain it, because I have a bunch of plasticware, and I feel like if I were to throw piping hot grease into a bunch of plasticware, it would just cause a disaster. So I am now filling up my pot with water for the noodles. Gonna set that to a boil, and then once the beef is drained and ready to go, I will probably go ahead and add my sauces to it. And I'll probably try and season it as well. I was gonna mix the sauce, but then I was like, nah, that seems kind of silly. It'll be a very non-traditional, slightly strange, lasagna sauce. But non-traditional, slightly strange is what I'm pretty good at. We don't need water in that. All right. I usually also put my, I didn't need to buy noodles. I realized that today as well. I still have noodles from the last time I bought or made lasagna, but whatever. Anywho, I usually put ricotta cheese in with the ground beef. So I'll mix the beef up, the ricotta cheese, and the sauce all in one. And this time around, I have forgotten the ricotta cheese. And instead of going out and buying more, I was like, I'll just do lasagna without it. It's not the end of the world. All right. So I have got my noodles. I have got this kind of cooking up, doing its thing. And then I got to drain the grease out of my ground beef. And then it's just a matter of actually building the pan, baking that sucker, and eating it. And boy, I cannot wait to eat it. And then, that'll be the conclusion of this video. But it's nice to spend the weekend with you guys. I need to get out and do this more often. Can't wait to update you on the whole picture situation as that develops and turns into something exciting. And then, of course, the billboard thing. And it's like, it's wild when I feel like I have all these ideas and I'm just firing on all cylinders. And I'm like, how cool would it be to do this and to do that and to do this? And hopefully it pans out in some way, shape, or form. I have a bad habit of covering the action with my hands as I try and capture these moments with my new camera, because my new camera can get more up and in the face of these events. But I have like I said, I have a bad habit of covering up its camera angle with my hands, so I need to be weary of how I work. And I'm gonna go and drain my grease into a milk jug. I keep my milk jugs for this very reason. And then I will drain my grease. I also have a little steel rod that I use to poke out the funnel because it gets grease clogged up in it, and if I'm not careful, things happen. So all right. Yep. So yeah. Ooh, that cleaned out my grease pretty good though, because it was all gross before. I need to clean out my garage at some point in time. And that's like what May has turned into for me. I take every May off. It's a staycation. And now that I'm a homeowner, it's a good chance for me to do homeowner-y things, whatever that even means. Most of my bowls look to be dirty. Well, I might have one in the dishwasher that's clean, actually. This dishwasher does not look like it's clean. There is a bowl in there. Anyway, reason why I was saying that is because I need a place to mix the meat and the sauce together. I also have some enchilada sauce left over, and I think I might mix that in with my lasagna sauce. Depending on how it looks, it might be saucy enough, it might not be saucy enough. I have tomato paste, and I have 2 cans of tomato sauce, and then I've got a half a jar of pre-made spaghetti sauce. And so, hopefully, between all of that, I feel like my ground beef is saucy enough to be fine. And if it's not, then I'll add some of this enchilada red sauce. I have been watching The Good Doctor, and it's funny, from like TV or movie people, they don't give it a whole lot of credit. It's like a B TV show, is the best way I can describe how people describe it. And this one guy on YouTube said it was like CSI or something like that, and I get why people say that, but the character relations in this show really do talk to me. I like a lot of the characters, and so hopefully I can maintain the excitement for it. The scene, and this happens to me a lot, but I'll be watching something online, or I'll be watching like YouTube videos or something, and I'll see a scene of something that really captures my attention, and then I'll watch the TV series because of this scene, and whenever I'm doing that, I'm waiting for the scene that I know to pop up. And so I'm hoping that I don't finally make it to this scene and then instantaneously lose interest in the show. I have a watch partner, that being my mother, and so that's been interesting. We've been keeping each other on top of watching it and discussing it, and it's been a good time. And so I think if nothing else, that alone will probably keep me from just dumping it. But maybe not, I don't know. I am going to make some noodles. I should record the boiling water for 8 seconds. And then I will go ahead and start the noodles. That's been one thing to me with this whole thing, is the like trying to maintain my quality of recording, or pictures, if you will. The pictures I took with my camera look amazing, and they have a huge pixel ratio. And so I was hoping that I could find a program that... Ooh, no, lasagna noodles! 5-second rule. Anyway, I was hoping that I could find a program that would preserve the quality of my pictures, because I want to be able to show off and be like, look, this is what having an actual camera gets you. Look at how amazing these pictures are. And when I look at them on my computer, they do look amazing. But when I look at them anywhere else, they still look amazing, actually. They look amazing anywhere I look at them. But I'm worried I'm going to spend all this money, print this thing out, and then it's going to be not as good as I wanted it to be, or not as good as it originally was, or whatever it turns out to be. And so we'll see what happens. I got the boiling water going here, keeping my noodles nice and noodly. How long should I let this water boil for? Get the best from your pasta. Boil for 8 minutes, it says. Are you boiling over? I think it is, but it's just going to have to get over itself for now. So there's not much I can do right now. Alright, gonna let this boil for 8 minutes, and then my noodles will be done. And then once the noodles are done, I'm gonna get the meat all ready to go. And then once the meat's ready to go, you just gotta put it all together. Putting it all together is part of the fun. I found this video I made with the last time that I made lasagna, and I thought it was really clever, and so I might boost that video because it was so clever. Try and get people to visit my profile and know who I is. All right, I'm gonna leave that alone for a little bit. Look at that pot boil. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It has been a productive weekend, and I feel the need to continue to reassure myself of that for some reason. But, yes. A friend of mine gave me some material to read. Excuse me. And I need to remember to read that material. Let's get some more video of this with the noodles in. I don't know that you can tell that the noodles are there. It just looks like a boiling pot. You can kind of see the noodles. And then, all right, let's try and stir this bad boy up again. I remember the first time I made lasagna, I instantly respected my mother for all the times that she made lasagna. I'm like, this is a decent amount of work. So it makes me appreciate what she did for us when we were a kid. And making lasagna is no joke. All right, let's see here. The lasagna is going to sit there and boil for a while. It's moments like this that I wish that I had my action cam, because I would leave my action cam over there, and then I would bring this camera, my main camera, over to see something else. But y'all are just going to have to be okay with not seeing water boil. I also feel like watching water boil probably isn't the most exciting thing for you all to be doing. So let's see about doing this instead. Let's do that. I kind of like that angle. How y'all doing over here? Y'all gonna make it? The other thing is I make lasagna and I almost never use all the lasagna noodles. But there's like, lasagna noodles are weird, so weird that you can't really do anything else with them. And so it's like, oh man, I didn't use all my lasagna noodles, darn it. But then it's like, what else am I gonna do with these noodles other than lasagna? And I don't really know. The answer to that question is, I don't really know. All right. Let's see if I can get some more sauce out of that bad boy. Lovely. And then, let's see, tomato paste. I feel like I still have a lot of tomato paste. I do have a lot of tomato paste. I need one of those toothpaste things that help you force toothpaste out of the tube. I needed one of those for this tomato paste tube. I still have plenty of tomato paste, so it's not the end of the world, but at some point in time I'm going to run low on tomato paste. And when I do, I'm going to be like, if I had one of them there things to force the paste out of there, it wouldn't be so bad. All right. Probably going to start with 1 can of tomato sauce. And there's really no sense in just doing 1 can when I have 2 cans and I'm not going to be doing anything else with it. But I also don't want this to be super soupy, and that seems like a decent amount of sauce right there. So let's just go ahead and season it, stir it up, and see how it goes. My noodles are still boiling over here. I thought I set a timer, but now that I'm looking at it, I don't think that I did. Or I think I hit the timer off button instead of hitting the timer on button. So I'm going to take my noodles off the pot. They look done, and I'm going to say that they're done. I like them al dente anyway. Let's see, let's get some Italian seasoning up in here. Italian seasoning. Here we go. Italian. And what else was I going to use? There was a different seasoning that I was thinking about using. Paprika. Garlic and herb. Tomato basil. I gotta use tomato basil. Anyone who knows me knows that I gotta use tomato basil. Ooh, that's tomato basil and garlic. And since my friend is not here, I can put that in my meat. So let's do some Italian seasoning. And those tomato basils. Having a rough go with things. Tomato basil. And then let's mix up the meat and see how that looks. I don't know, it doesn't look very saucy. It looks all right. I guess it depends on your preference of sauciness. I think it'll do. And then I'll just have to remember that I now have tomato sauce and lasagna noodles still in the fridge or in the pantry, so that the next time I get the inspiration to make lasagna, I don't have to buy near as much ingredients for it, because I keep buying ingredients because I don't know what I have, and then I have way more ingredients than I need. And I guess that's a good problem to have, but it's still a problem nonetheless. I always make my lasagna with 3 cheeses: provolone, Parmesan, and mozzarella. And so, I have a whole unopened thing of mozzarella. Actually, this guy, I am just hemorrhaging money at this point because I'm just buying things that I am not using. All right, so let's see here. I think I'm going to get the most value out of having the pan there. Let's go ahead and move you over so that you can get a more direct view of what's going on. This is only going to go up. I want it to go down because right now it's seeing a bit much. So let's turn it around. Woo! There it goes. Turn it around again. There, now it looks like it's seeing more of what I want it to see. And then I can try and balance it out a little better. All right, cool. So let's get the pan up in here. I want the pan to be mostly in view. That looks good. All right. So we're going to take the noodles. Let me clear off some more space on the counter for me to work with here. We're going to do a layer of noodles, then a layer of beef, and then a layer of cheese, and then a layer of noodles, and a layer of beef, and a layer of cheese. And just keep doing that until we run out of beef. 3 layers is usually what I get out of it. And then I put the mozzarella on top. All right, I need a fork because these freshly boiled noodles are too hot to handle. All right, come here, you. Come to Papa. Ow. Come here, you little loser. There we go. All right, slide them on the pan. I did grease this pan a little bit. I sprayed it, I should say. All right. Who's next? Oh, I got 2 of them. They're kind of stuck together. I think you're supposed to butter your noodles or oil them so that they don't stick together. But I just work with them. Come here, you. Get off of yourself. It's all curled up on itself. There we go. All right. Now you can see I have my edges. This pan is just barely too big to fit lasagna perfectly. And so then I will put one on this edge here. There's a little bit of overlap there, but makes me feel better about using the whole pan. And then I'll put one on the bottom edge there too, which gives me quite a bit of overlap, but once again, I feel better about having used the entire dimensions of the pan rather than just some of it. So that bottom layer tends to be a little doubled up. And I probably could maybe overlap these just a hair so that you don't have so much there. I feel like that looks a lot better. All right, meat time. It's time for the meat. Time for the meat. I always do my layer of provolone first, and I can never find provolone shredded. I can only find it sliced, like for deli meat. And so that's interesting. But I will do my layer of provolone first, and then I will do a layer of Parmesan, and then I'll do the mozzarella on top of that. And then I did 3 pounds of ground beef, and so that's what I am applying right now is my ground beef. It always amazes me how much of this stuff I can go through. I think I messed with my camera angle a little bit. I think it'll be fine. But yeah, lasagna. Let me know if you guys make lasagna very often, and if you do, how often do you make it, and do you do anything differently than me? And like I said, this is a bit different than how I normally make my lasagna. Like I said, I normally would use ricotta cheese mixed in with the meat, but I forgot to buy it. And rather than go out and buy some ricotta cheese just for this, I opted to go ahead and just make it as is. And this is a pretty solid layer of beef. I feel like I'm going to call that, because I also feel like I used about half of my beef on that layer. So now it's time for the cheese. We're going to do provolone first, like I said earlier. And then Parmesan, and then mozzarella. And then I gotta bake this thing. And I just realized I haven't preheated my oven at all yet. So I should get on that. Let's see. Bake. I almost always set my oven to 425. Even when something says a different temperature. I'm just like, 425. That'll get me where I need to be. Alright. Time for the cheese. Creamy provolone. And this is always a fun part for me, to apply the provolone. And I just realized that I have not been filming this on my phone. I was doing pretty good about filming this on my phone, and then I forgot. And although in my defense, I've already made a lasagna video, and so I really feel like the world would be like, oh my gosh, you just make the same videos over and over again if I keep uploading lasagna videos. So maybe instead of uploading another lasagna video, I will promote the current lasagna video. And people say that you should re-upload content frequently enough on social media because most people aren't going to notice. They think that if they notice that it's a re-upload, they think that they're just seeing the earlier upload again, and they don't really notice that you just uploaded this a couple days ago, even though you've already uploaded it several months ago. And then, of course, if you have new fans finding it, they have no idea at all, and so it's a win-win. And so I might, ow, that was hot. I might do a bit more re-uploads here in the near future and see how they succeed. And if they don't succeed, then try again. These noodles have got to do a good amount of cheese melting because they are still too hot to even touch. All right, whew, that was hot. One more for the side that gets forgotten. The other thing that's interesting about this is the fact that, like I said, since I know I'm going to have noodles left over, I'm pretty generous with the amount of noodles that I use. I also, always want my kitchen utensils to be bigger and badder and better. And I always make, way more food than I could ever hope to cook in the pan that size. 3 pounds of ground beef fits in that pan I was using, but it just barely fits. If I wanted any more ground beef in this, I would need another pan. And I mean, that's fine, but it's an important detail to be aware of. I'm gonna start just doing a dump on this one because I don't feel like trying. I don't think I'm gonna do another layer. I think this will be the end. I don't think that I've ever done, I mean, it's technically a 3-layer because the 3rd layer is going to have the mozzarella on top, but it won't have another layer of beef. And like I said, I don't know that I've ever done one with more than 2 layers, 3 if you count that top layer, which I'm still debating as to whether or not I count it. But at any rate, even this though, it seems kind of wimpy. I always use 3 pounds of beef, so why does it feel like I'm not covering all my bases now. All right. Look at that ground beef. Time for Parmesan. And then after Parmesan, I will do one more layer of noodles. And I will put on the mozzarella. And then this bad boy's going in the oven. And we're done. Y'all done watched me make lasagna. You watched me make lasagna. Heard me talk about all my wonderful things in life. I almost put the wrong cheese on there. That would have been dreadful. I wonder, that's good until March of 28. That's good until May of 24. So I should use March because March is next month. And I don't know that I'm going to be using any, or I'm going to be making another lasagna between now and then. I really think that this 3 cheese combination takes it to the next level. The best macaroni I have ever had was a 4 cheese macaroni. And some people put bacon in their macaroni and cheese. Bacon is like a food cheat code for me. Like if you put bacon in something, it almost always is going to turn out good. And so that's why I'm like more impressed when people are able to make recipes that are really good that don't have bacon in it. And that 4 cheese mac and cheese did not have bacon in it. And it was literally just macaroni and cheese with 4 cheeses in it. And it was incredible. It was so good. And so now anytime I make a cheesy dish, I'm like, the more variety of cheeses, the better. And so there's that layer, mozzarella, or parmesan. Now it's time for more noodles than mozzarella. And I don't know, like I'm looking at this picture here of the lasagna, and it's hard to tell if they do that or not, or if the top layer is just beef and then cheese. I think they do have a top layer of cheese. Their lasagna is 1, 2, 3 layers. Mine is almost always 2. But that's okay. Not everybody needs to make their lasagnas the exact same way. That's what makes the human experience an experience. It's because we all do things just a little different from each other. If not drastically different from each other, at least a little different from each other. Hey! All right, these noodles are somewhat cooled down enough for me to touch. I just pulled that guy directly out of the pot, and I didn't instantly regret it. Come here, you. You can't play the player. Ah, all right, that's still pretty hot, though. Ow! I do think that I probably need some sauce for this layer, but your boy's all out of sauce, so this layer is just going to be cheese and noodles. There we go. All right. Woo-wee. Stick this bad boy in the oven. When the oven's preheated, we'll have ourselves a mean lasagna. I appreciate you all tuning in and taking the time out of your day to watch me make lasagna. I hope that I made it interesting and engaging for you. And if I didn't, be sure and let me know so that I can do better in future videos, because I am constantly trying to figure out if I'm doing well or if I'm doing poorly, because some of these videos, well, most of these videos don't get a whole lot of attention. And I don't know, I'm starting to buckle down in the marketing aspect of things, and it's starting to get to the point where it makes sense to me, and so I feel like now I might actually be able to market successfully. I also have several books under my belt instead of just a handful of them, and I've got several of them that I'm actually quite proud of. Like, I'm proud of all my books, but my earlier books aren't necessarily a book that I would be like, oh my gosh, you got to read this book, it's so good. Because as I go back and read it, I realize, well, it's the first book I ever wrote. So I think it has room to be less than perfect, and it most certainly is that. But at any rate, I got good books, I got strategies, and now I just need to commit to the books and the strategies and get somewhere in life. And so thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.